Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Bringing another tie-in video today. Last week I had the opportunity to get up to Erie to do a little steelhead fishing, which I try to get up as often as I can. But we had a lot of fun. Me and Pat from the podcast, which I'm going to get back onto here soon. I promise you I'll have some new episodes coming to you shortly. Going to hang out with the guys at the symposium, make a couple connections, and we're going to get you some new shows coming. But anyway, while I was up steelhead fishing, I was swinging a spey fly, which I enjoy tying spey flies. I get to tying nymphs and stuff all the time. I like a little distraction. So a lot of times I switch to a streamer, and spey flies are fun to tie because they're just different. And this Hobo Spey, which is what I'm tying today, is a simple one that you probably have all the materials for already. And it's easy to tie. So let's get into tying it here. One thing before I do that, I want to go over a couple things. For the shank on this, the spey flies are often tied with a shank and a trailer hook. For the trailer hook, what I'm going to use is a Daiichi 2581. This is a specialty hook. It's a circle hook. You can really use any kind of circle hook you would like. And how I'm going to connect it, you'll see it in the video here, but I'm going to take a piece of braided line. Oops, this is just what I use for bass fishing. This is like 50-pound braid here. And cut about a 5-inch section, fold it in half, put it through the eye, loop it over the hook, and tie it down. And that'll tie it on there. That's how we're going to tie the trailer hook on. For the shank, now this is the part you can buy, like Firehole actually makes shanks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these Firehole 839s, and this is a size 4 streamer hook. And what I'm going to do is just take a pair of pliers, and you probably have a streamer hook, a large streamer hook laying around from tying some other fly. Just take a pair of pliers, and I'm just going to cut right at the end of the straight part there. I'm just going to cut the shank off. And it's going to give me a nice straight shank to tie with. So this is going to be my shank on my fly, and then the trailer hook. Like I said, if you don't have to go out and buy specialty shanks or get some wire and bend it all and stuff, take the time to do that. Just cut off one of your long streamer hooks and you got the shank made for it already. So let's get into tie it. Here you're going to see it in the vise and then the material list to tie it. Okay guys, here you see the Hobo Spey in the vise. Very cool looking fly, not that hard to tie. It's a lot of fun to tie actually. So let's get into tying it. I'm going to show you the shank here. Here is that 839, here's the eye. And what I did was I just took, and here's the hook point. Get it in the vise there. All I did was take a pair of pliers and just cut it off. So just cut that hook point off and you got yourself a nice little shank here. Let's put that shank in the vise. So I want to place it in the vise with the eye point going up. And I'm just going to lock that down so it's nice and tight in there. I want that eye to turn upward. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 2581, this specialty hook from Daiichi. Firehole makes one, I forget what number their circle hook is, but it works great too, and it's barbless. This one pinched the barb on it. What you see here is what I did is I took a piece of braid, went through the eye, oops, come up over the hook bend, and pulled it down tight, and it lays on there nice and straight. So I'm going to take my black thread, you can use whatever color you thread, it doesn't really matter, and tie that on there. And trim it off. Now I'm going to attach this trailer hook. To attach the trailer hook, I'm going to lay this down right on top. And I want that trailer hook, right here's the back end of where my fingernail is the back end of that shank. I want it to be 1/4 inch behind it or so. Not really long. I don't want a big long trailer hook. I just don't like it to be that long. And then we're just going to wind it right back to my vise, actually, right there. Now, for the rest of this, I'm going to take and I'm going to feed this through the eye. And I'm going to wrap it up the rest of the way. And then to guarantee that this never comes out, I'm just going to bend this underneath. Now this is long, so I'm just going to cut this off shorter. Then I'm going to bend it up here underneath and wrap it down. And there I have my shank with my trailer hook. Now, if you're smart, you're going to take and you're going to put something over that trailer hook. So I just took, this is off a squirmy worm, or squiggle worm. That's just going to protect me from not sticking my finger into that. Use whatever you have, rubber band, whatever. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to put a little egg at the back of this. To do that, I'm going to make a dubbing loop. I use a Swiss CDC dubbing loop tool. It works really great. Use whatever kind you have. You don't have to even do a dubbing loop. I just prefer to. You could dub it on there. And for the ice dub, I'm using some UV shrimp pink. And let me wrap this up here. Okay, to make the dubbing loop, like you see me do 100 times before on different videos, just split the thread, put the dubbing in between that split, and then pop your finger out to cinch it down, and then we're just going to twist the thread and make a nice noodle of thread there. So we're just going to wrap this on and wrap it forward a little bit, and I'm just creating an egg. So whatever color you want to use back here to get it nice and bright, this is just something to key on in the back. Once I get that, then I'm going to wrap this off and tie off my dubbing loop. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a piece of Guinea. This one is dyed Chartreuse. And I stripped the one side off because I don't need a whole lot of fibers, so like half of it is great. But what I do want to do is I want to find a long one. You can see how this one's longer than my hook shank and stuff. I want to find a long one for this so it wraps the whole way up that body. And then I'm just going to tie it in there in front of that egg. Oops. Pulled too much of it off. So tie that again. There we go. Now, I'm going to do another dubbing loop with dubbing. This time I'm using some ice dub purple. The purple looks great underneath this black marabou that we're going to be tying on here in a minute. So again, we're just going to make a dubbing loop. Wrap that loop right back to that egg. And then come up to the eye with it. So, again, we're going to open up that thread. Now this time I'm using a longer stretch of purple because I need it to wrap twice as far as the egg I just put on there. Put that in a dubbing loop, twist it up, and then I can take and brush it out a little bit. If I want it to be a little bit buggier, you can brush it out now. And then we're just going to take and wrap this forward. This is creating the body of our streamer here. And I want to end this an eye length behind the eye. So keep pulling them fibers back so you don't trap them down. End it about an eye length behind the fly, as you see there. And then we're going to cut this off. Now, we're going to palmer this guinea feather up through the body here, just to give us a little bit of different color, and to add a little bit of body to the fly too. So, like I said, I want that feather to be long enough that I can wrap it the whole way forward and tie it off up here at the eye. Okay, now you see some of those stuck together there, that's fine. So what I do now is I just come in with my brush, my dubbing brush, oops, and just brush these fibers all back, spread them out a little bit, beat them up a little bit in essence. And there we go. Now, got those all leaning back like I want them. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on the Marabou. For the Marabou, I am looking for a small black piece of Marabou. I don't want to go nice and long. You want to use more of the tip, more or less, of the piece of Marabou. And we're going to tie it in by the tip. So I'm going to tie that in there right behind the eye. I'm just going to bend this back because it'll all blend in here. And then take my hackle pliers and we're going to palmer this forward. And as I wrap, I'm going to bend these oops. This is the bad thing about using the small ones is you got to be a little bit, you got to baby it a little bit because the shaft of this Marabou is pretty thin. And it will break on you. If it breaks, start over. No big deal. So we're not going to pull as hard. And we're just going to pull these fibers back as we go. And I don't want to put too much on here. I don't want this getting too big and bulky. So I'm going to do about 3, at the most, like 4 wraps. When it starts getting too bulky, then you want to quit. Alright, now I got that on there, we're just going to wrap and tie this off. And we're going to cut off the end here. Alright, then we're going to clean up our head. We're going to pull all those fibers back and clean up our head. Alright, now I'm going to brush these fibers back, get some of them trapped ones to stand out. There we go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of this Guinea, and this one you can see is much shorter. And again, I'm going to peel the one side off so I don't get as many fibers on there. And I'm going to tie this on the head. And I can fold them back, that's fine. And I'm only going to get about 2 wraps out of this. Is all I want on there. I just want a nice little collar to add a little extra color. Oops. I'm going to use all the fibers because I tore half of them off. I'm going to use all the fibers. So I'm going to wrap this the whole way until I run out of those fibers. Like that. Once I get up to the end, I'm just going to tie that off again. Okay. And then we're going to trim off our tag. And again, we're going to pull these back and clean up that head a little bit. Get all those fibers flaring backwards. Alright, now you can see that just adds a little color out on the front there, which I like. And then the last thing I'm going to do, and this one is totally optional, I got some synthetic jungle cock eyes here. And I am just going to put one down each side. You do not have to do this by any means. Use real jungle cock if you have it and you really want to. This is more aesthetic. This is to add eyes to the fly. There you can see it on your side, and I'm going to put one down my side. It just finishes it off, makes it look nice. But like I said, totally optional. You do not need this. But these are very nice, these synthetic ones. They're easy to work with. They don't split on you like a natural one does. And it gives you that look that you're after. So, last thing we need to do is whip finish this and put a little bit of head cement on there. So, oops. My whip finish unwound. It made it a little bulky there. I didn't like that. So I want to make sure I get a little bit further back up. Don't trap fibers down either. Try to make a nice clean head. Always finish off your fly neatly. There we go. So, nice clean head. Put a little bit of bone dry on here. And we're all done. Alright guys, I hope you liked that pattern. It was an easy pattern to tie. Doesn't take you that long for a fly that big, you know, and it's a lot of fun to tie too. It's cool to sit back and see something different come off your vise than, you know, the 1,000 Walt worm or whatever you're tying that you're just tying all the time because it's what you use. This is one to tie just for fun, for practice, but it also fishes well. I will say too, I've tied it, when I went to Erie, I tied it in black, white, and purple. Those are great steelhead colors. This will also work really well for smallmouth. So tie it in browns. Maybe take and tie 2 strips of zonker off the back, make crayfish. Tied in brown, add 2 strips of zonker strips there for the claws, and you got yourself a great crayfish imitation. Experiment with different things. If you don't have the jungle cock or jungle cock substitute, don't worry about it. That's not a big deal. I actually didn't think about it until I was shooting this video. So the ones I was fishing in New York didn't have the jungle cock on it. But anyways, guys, like always, any of the materials you need, you can find them at holsingersflyshop.com. When this video comes out, if you're watching it a day or two after it comes out, if you're in the New Jersey area, stop by the Fly Tying Symposium and say hi. You know, I love meeting all of my guys that like to watch the videos and stuff, and it's very cool. It's a great show. You get to hang out with a lot of great fly tyers, and you get to meet a lot of great guys. So head over to the Fly Fishing Symposium in Parsippany, New Jersey. I promise you, you'll have a blast. Until next week when I bring you another video, guys, I'm Sean Holsinger.